Hello, 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 everyone. So, welcome back to the Jet Lachey community. And today we have a very special session. And this session is about having tunnel vision and do not worry about what other people say as you are going on your path. But I'm also going to tie in some physical movement because I want you to bring that energy into your body, and we'll just work through all that kinds of stuff. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I also want to let everybody know, so if you would like to, you can start to bring this energy in, that my Reiki apprenticeship is open. So if you're interested in any of that and you like the way I teach, you like the sessions that I have, feel free to look at that information, as well as we have an intimate community called the mpcommunity.com, the My People community. I created it, where we go on a deeper level than YouTube could possibly ever go. And we have workshops and sessions and all of these curated experiences that I like to give to you all. And of course, you can join it for free, So I try to pour my healing work in so many different ways. And this is how I like to share it. So welcome. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start by just first taking a breath in. Exhale and release. 2 more. Exhale and release. 1 more breath. Exhale and release. Now I want you to find a cadence with that, whether that breath is deep or shallow. I don't want you to feel pressured for it to always be a deep breath unless you need that. I don't want you to get lightheaded or anything. So I just want you to breathe in what's normal for you, or what is your choice of breath. Exhale. Now, as you're breathing through that, I want you to bring that breath just flowing in through your chest cavity, just filling it up. And you can use the arms too, maybe opening, closing, just doing this little bird thing. What's right for you. So you're filling up the chest, you're filling up the diaphragm, but really you're creating space in the body. Why is this important? Because sometimes when we're working with energy, the energy can get stuck, or the energy just needs some movement. So walking or taking any physical activity can be helpful as well. Or even how we use our air. Sending that energy down through the legs, through the feet, all the way back up through the arms. And release and let that go. So you might feel this air filling up in the back body too. And this also reminds us to breathe a little bit more, because sometimes we can have very shallow breaths, especially if you're anxious or overly stimulated. It's just like, so this is something that we can do to just free it. Exhale and release it. I hope you're enjoying this. Just 1 more. Exhale and release. And I really encourage you, if you are able to take arm movement or body movement, or if you want to get up and do stretches as well, to do that. Let this be a reminder of your physical practice and how that ties so close to the energy work. As I said before, I had an elder tell me before to move, get that energy through you, move. Because in a Reiki practice, sometimes it could be very sedentary. So it's really important for us to get rid of that energy, and you can get it out many ways. So exhale and release. Okay. Now continue to breathe on your own. And I really want to bring up this energy of having tunnel vision. Okay. I want you to be so focused on your dreams, on your goals, on whatever it is that life, the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, it's your business, I don't care. Whatever that is telling you in your heart. I want you to know that there is no self-doubt. There's no criticism from others. There's nothing, no limitations, no doors being closed in your face that can stop you from living out what is right in your heart if you choose to take action in consistency, regardless of what shows up. So how can you do that? You got to do that by having tunnel vision. There's so many, and let's remember to continue to take movement if it feels right for you. You can even bring your hands to your core and just exhale. You could do some shoulder rolls or some neck rolls. I just want to remind you to just really be full into this as we're working through this energy. But as I was saying, there is nothing that can stop you from being successful as long as you're consistent and you focus. There are so many distractions. And here's the saying to keep or to pay attention to. Just because you can do anything doesn't mean you should do everything. Just because you can do anything doesn't mean you can do everything. If you try to do everything, you will not see the development fast enough for you to feel like you're working towards something. People are distracted because they are fueled by motivation when you need to be fueled by consistency. You should have a passion for whatever you want to focus on, whether it's one thing or a few things. But passion but motivation will wane. There's times where you have to show up and be consistent when you don't feel like it. And that's what makes someone successful. But also you need to learn how to have blinders. Sometimes people will give you useful information that have nothing to do with you, that has something to do with another path. Sometimes people can give you useful information that you can apply, but you got to apply it in your way as opposed to applying it in someone else's way. When I started Reiki Healing Hope online, I had an in-person practice. I had Reiki sessions in person and group sessions, individual sessions, as well as I had yoga classes, and I ran all these things by myself. And I also worked at a gym too, teaching yoga. So I had these things, but of the Reiki practitioners I knew in person, they could not give me the information I needed to know how to grow online. It was relatively unknown for people. They did not know how to grow a practice online, so their practice was in person. So I received a lot of really good, helpful information, but it did not apply to me. And I also noticed that there were practitioners who were more seasoned than me, who seemed like they weren't really making any progress in building their practice, even though they desired to. Because what worked for our teachers may not necessarily work for them, and they were trying to force what their thing into this thing instead of doing your own thing. I didn't have any teacher teach me how to build this practice online. And there's even a limit to the techniques that a teacher can teach you. That's why I always encourage others to continue to learn from others. I continue to study with many people of different modalities. But regardless, I had something in my heart and my soul, and I said, I'm going to figure this out. And in figuring that out, I then am able to turn around and teach others, not just modalities, not how to approach being a lifelong student, not just how to approach to work with your clients in different situations, not just how to approach how to teach others, not just how to approach to build your practice online, but to bring all of these together and to still live a well-balanced life. Because I always tell all my apprentices, you are your first client, so how do you take care of yourself? But I would not be able to do this if I didn't have all of those at the time felt like roadblocks and setbacks. I would not be able to provide all of this information and make it easier for my apprentices to develop themselves and grow in any direction they want to. That's the point. When you work through something, when you have this tunnel vision and you go through these obstacles, it is our responsibility to turn around and make it easier for others. Now, when you make it easier for others, you do not have to be a martyr. You do not have to evade your own boundaries. These practitioners pay me. My clients pay me. I have so many communities that are free where you don't have to have any, you don't have to pay or anything like that. But when people want the highest value from me, they also put that energy in as well. even an effort. There are some people who just put so much effort into enriching our community spaces. That is so valuable as well. With that being said, I want you, as you have tunnel vision, to value the gifts that you bring. You are not for everyone, but for the people you are for, I don't know if you even realize how much you're going to change their lives. I have people often, from just regular people on YouTube to people that I've worked with as clients, students in different capacities, tell me how the work that I've done, and I like to describe it as facilitating spaces, has helped them in their journey as they're developing and growing over the years. Sometimes really heartfelt things that people are saying. And so I recognize the value I bring. I recognize how to value myself, and I recognize how to create a space where no matter where you're at, you can get something from this space. But to have this amount of confidence is only because I put in all the work over those years. I was talking about in another video how I used to make 5 unique videos every week for years. And for the first 2 years of making 5 videos a week, I was nervous before every video. The reasons why I would change, the nervousness doesn't change, but I kept on making the videos. Can you imagine how many weeks are in a year? 50 something, right? And then 50 times 5, that's 200 and what? 250. 500 videos. 500 videos and I'm still nervous. So regardless of if I was nervous or not, I still showed up. Even, working with clients, I used to have so much energy of, I just want them to get everything they needed. And as a practitioner, which I teach the apprentices, when you connect to your gifts, there are certain things that may happen as well. Like, for example, before I have a client, I typically start to feel some of their themes. And so I have certain practices, rituals, certain things that I do and I put in place for my own well-being and to be able to provide as much information. And I do things in my life so that my energy is nice and balanced too. But before, it used to be so overwhelming. It would be hard, So I learned, okay, what is the most clients I can take? As well as, with students, wanting to help students, but having to have the right space to provide the information, to guide, to give motivation, to give boundaries, and to let them do it themselves. And always walk with them. It's all of these powerful lessons I learned over time that felt very, very tough and very strong in the moment that I realized makes me a really, really good practitioner to this day. And I want to, for just this example, ask you, what is that for you in your life? What is something that you are so connected to? I want you to just think about it. Prior to me building Reiki Healing Hope, in this extension and the many other things I've done, you can find me on Spotify and Apple Music. I had a podcast where I have over 50 episodes. Let me see. I've done a lot of things over the years. So I want to ask you the same thing, like, what is something that you're passionate about? And prior to this, when I went to college for undergrad, one of my majors, I ended up double majoring, and one of my majors was religious studies, specifically because I enjoyed mysticism and folklore so much. Most of my peers were in religious studies to focus on religious traditions, like the mainstream religious traditions. But for me, I just love folklore and mysticism, and it was something that I was always passionate about. So there's no way, when I was majoring in religious studies, that anyone could tell me in the future that I would be able to build out a business and build out a full-time career and be able to help people with these esoteric things. I didn't even know about Reiki at that time. I knew about other esoteric modalities, but I feel that God put Reiki in my life because Reiki is a modality, but the term Reiki is synonymous for energy healing in modern time, even though Reiki is just a modality. So even though I have all of this extensive experience in all of these other modalities, I'm able to connect with people at the very beginner level in a way that is so beautiful and comforting for them, that makes it very easy and accessible, where you don't have to be like me, you don't have to think like me. This does not need to be a cult. And you always have a safe space to come back to, and you can care and desire to have or to venture into any kind of modality. All of these things I was missing, I turned around and I created spaces for them over time. And many people ask me, what are you going to do with that? I said, I don't know. But I had enough faith in myself to know that when I put my mind to something and I have enough consistency, I'll do it. And it didn't matter if I felt good or not. It didn't mean burnout, though. It meant, when you feel imposter syndrome, or you feel tired, or you feel defeated, or you feel all of those things, sometimes you take a break, but you keep coming back, and you just keep coming back. And even if it takes longer, like if you're trying to do things in a timeline that's too tight, make it a little bit longer, because I'm a strong believer and you need to support your nervous system, your physical body, and the things that you eat, and the movement that you take, and the people you surround yourself by, and the environments you have. Even when it comes to devices, are you being overly stimulated? Do you need to take movement? Do you need to do this? Do you need to do that? Maybe if you're on your device, you could go for a walk, or you could do this, or you could do that. So all of these things. So whatever's in your heart that you have tunnel vision for, it does not need to make sense. You will build it out. We live in a world now where there are less individual roads to success. We're having less and less gatekeepers for things, only because there are new paths that don't have roadblocks, so you can make your own path. Back in the day, people would be in esoteric groups and they would want to impress the leader, or they would want to look a certain way, and maybe even the audience would want that. That's not even the case today. You can be whoever you are and connect to people in your own unique way. You can overlap many different things, because I think that I love religious and mystical history and esoteric history and folklore history so much that I think when people really get to know me, especially in the My People community, I often go on these long explanations of how things come to be. I see the power of how the folklore and the mysticism of indigenous traditions have shaped all of us. And then I also love the academic aspects of, we have written records of when cultures first started, when traditions first started. And I think that the folklore of a tradition, which is in the people themselves, what they developed as this is how it came to be, and the academic accounts of when these people came, this is what impacted them or inspired them, and this is how they built things out. I don't think that just because they're different, it conflicts. I think sometimes people have a hard time connecting to faith, spirituality, or even religious perspectives because of the contradictions that show up. So, if it works out for you and it makes you happy and it grows your heart, that's fine. Who cares? Who cares? I was saying this, I believe in the video last week, or maybe I might have said this to apprentices, but I was talking about how there are indigenous traditions based off of where we are at, where a person or where a group was at in the world, that are younger than some of our bigger religions. Like when I say Judaism or Christianity or Islam, there are some indigenous traditions that are much younger. And does it devalue? No, not at all. Does it make it less important? No, not at all. Some of these places that were definitely disconnected from the African, Middle East, and Asia experience that exists for a lot of modernization of human history. In the other remote parts of the world, there were traditions that came to be. And the way that a tradition comes to be, typically religion is supposed to reinforce the nation. So typically what nations have done over time is they start to, and you can really see this in when we look at like Egypt. I think Egypt's a really good example, but you can look at this around. When you have a nation, they are going to have religious, they are going to have political, they're going to have medicinal things, but they should all tie with the nation being in the center. So maybe someone who is a king or someone who is of a high authority, or maybe a priest or something like that, is somehow tied into the religious aspect of it too. And so in order to create order in what we call in modern times a civilization. So a civilization is, you got to think about back specifically in the Middle East, they had this thing called a civilization that started to pop up. And what a civilization was instead of people being nomadic or purely tribal, they started to create these walled cities, which made it very hard for people to disrupt them, to invade and do all of those things. So inside those walled cities, because they no longer faced the challenges that other people in the world who were still nomadic or tribal were facing all over the world, or they were in kind of smaller, like kind of towns kind of things, but not this civilization. People finally had time to have more specialized roles. So where someone had to know how to make their house efficient in these civilizations, and again, civilizations were happening as people were still nomadic too, or people were still in smaller kind of things. They had specialized roles. They were a baker, or they were a medicine person, a spiritual person, or they had some specific role. But in order to create order in a civilization, there has to be something, or it typically shows up in a religious way. The religious way reinforces the order or the laws of the city and reinforces the power structure. And people have to believe it. They have to believe that their leader was sent by God, or they have to believe in whatever the order of it. But outside of religion, we have this aspect of spirituality. So spirituality or mysticism exists in all religions and outside of religions. Mysticism or spirituality is your relationship with your divine higher power, understanding, God, whatever you believe in. That's what spirituality is. And so people were having spiritual experiences within religious spaces. And so that created the culture of the religion. But the religion itself is typically the dogma, and it's supposed to reinforce a system or an institution. And I'm not saying that in a good or bad way. I'm just saying that's kind of what religion is. And so as we've seen, you can look at Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. You've seen many contradictions to the things that have been done in the name of these very large religions. But at the same time, you can see many people who have very meaningful relationships and spiritual relationships, and even mystical sects that exist in major religions like that, as well as, the other religions that happen too. So, I'm saying all of that to say, to kind of bring it back to the original point of the indigenous cultures, some of them being younger than some of these older religions. It does not in any way question the quality, question the connection, question the validity. I'm a strong believer in that we need to break the mental habit of colonization when it comes to religion, that a lot of indigenous traditions were demonized. A lot of these things that we practice now as esoteric practitioners, people were, there were laws, even, in the US, to limit indigenous cultures from being able to participate in their traditions, of which, fills and really deeply brings influence into our life today. As someone who is African American and as someone who is Korean, when people were trafficked and brought to the New World, and they were disconnected from their identities, from their cultures, many different people being put together. When they came in contact with indigenous people here, it was reminiscent of what they knew. It was different. And so that's how indigenous medicine became a part of practices such as hoodoo or, Santeria or Candomblé, or some of these religious or spiritual paths that formed out of necessity and people trying to hold their culture. And the only reason why their culture was seen as bad or negative was because of conquering, colonization. It's something that we can see throughout history. When you go to conquer something, you typically, destroy everything. We can look at, again, Egypt, like cutting the nose off, or trying to, the conversation of the burning of the temple of Alexandria, where it was a kind of hub for people within the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and even, again, Africa, all through Asia. They've had a trade route for a very, very long time, thousands of years. So people could come and seek knowledge. But when nations come to conquer, because Egypt kind of reigned for a while, when nations come to conquer, they don't care about that. They care about rewriting. And even when you look at Egypt has had different systems of what is important to who do we show reverence, what practice, and even contentious during its times. There's a podcast called The Fall of Civilizations, and they have an episode called The Fall of Egypt, which I think is very interesting for this particular topic. But like I'm saying, to bring it again back, you see how passionate I am about things? Do you see how researched I am and how I continue to research myself? So when I tell people that the Reiki apprenticeship is open, or my apprenticeship in general is open, and I fix my lips to tell people I believe that what I have to offer is the best that is available, I can back it up and I show. I don't have to always demonstrate it on YouTube, simply because sometimes I get it. People just want to come and they just want to relax, and I want to make it so easy and accessible. But the more that people want to work with me, this is the stuff that we work through and that we talk about. So again, bringing this back to you and you having tunnel vision. The more that you put in effort into something, the more that you research, the more that you practice, the more that you're consistent. It doesn't matter who questions you and what you do or how you navigate a path. It doesn't matter. If they didn't put in that work for you, if you put in that work, you know exactly what you need to do, and you can have confidence in what you're doing. So I want to give you that energy back. I want you to have so much tunnel vision. If you've seen any video, let this video be the video that motivates you to get up and to go do what God put in your heart to do. The universe, source, life, energy, the fairies. I don't know what you believe in, but I want you to have the space to believe in it. Put in your heart to go do, and go do it. Don't worry about people questioning you. Everybody has an opinion. Don't worry about your own self-doubt. It'll happen, and you gotta have to give yourself space, but consistently. And I want you to document this privately, not everything's for public consumption. There's many things that I do. I don't often share this, but I'm also a hoodoo practitioner. Also spend time learning about Korean shamanism. But these are not things that I share for public consumption, because they're for me. They're for my spiritual path. They're for my indigenous connections, for who I am. I'm also a strong believer in that, you can have affinity culture. We have conversations of cultural appropriation, but we can also have conversations of cultural appreciation. And there are certain expectations. Like if you have a culture that you're not connected to and you love it and you revere it, and you feel like God has put that in your heart, then you can learn about it. But you have to have realistic expectations. You don't get to have the right for everyone to just welcome you in. If it's a closed practice, I don't know why you would want to be a part of it, but for some reason maybe you do. And if people feel some type of way about it, if it's their culture, let them do that. People are very protective of their culture because of everything their ancestors had to go through. So if you have an affinity culture that you care about, you continue to do the research, you continue to learn, you can continue to connect with people who will let you learn, and you validate those people who feel like, wait a minute, I don't, why do you want to be in this space? If you're a guest in a culture, say, I respect that, and I'm going to do the work. I'm going to do the work to learn. I'm going to do the work. And that's how you earn someone's respect, okay? That's how you earned somebody's respect. So I say all of that to say, whatever your goals, whatever it is that you're supposed to do, go out here and do it. Document over time. What does that look like? You can record videos. Sometimes I write things out. Sometimes I record a video of myself. If it's a physical thing I'm doing, I do recordings just for myself. It's so helpful. I look at things that I recorded 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and it's so helpful. You got to learn how to lock into what you want. You got to learn how to have the mindset that I'm going to make the things that I need to do realistic and sustainable so I can do them. Don't do it so that you want to have this huge thing and you want to achieve it next year. Give yourself 10 years and have a bigger goal. Because I guarantee most people won't get to 10 years. But I guarantee if you get there, oh, your life's going to be changed. It's going to be so different. And life tells you the things you'll focus on, and you'll be able to navigate it any way possible. Well, I hope that throughout the session, as I was explaining things, you're still taking the air in, exhaling, and releasing. And I hope that you feel good. I hope that you leave here feeling enchanted and connected into your great journey. Again, if you like the way I teach, if you're interested in being an esoteric practitioner, teacher, I do have a Reiki apprenticeship, and I call it a Reiki apprenticeship because I think that that's what most people kind of understand. I sometimes call it an energy healing apprenticeship. But you get a Reiki Master Teacher certification. I take you through the entire things, but we have workshops monthly. We have healing sessions because I want you to be responsible for your self-healing, self-care. We have all the information. I cover Reiki, I cover other modalities. And then we have these like academic things that I like to talk about too, or, how do we navigate things? How do we build business? Sometimes it's not easy building business online, as I was talking about before, but marketing strategies are marketing strategies. Not everybody knows how to build a successful business. So be mindful of the opinions that you take of people who have not built a business before. I mean, it's the reality, but always lead with compassion and understanding. And, I help the apprentices do that. If that's not what you're looking for, you're looking for an intimate space where we have different healing things. I remember I did a 14-day thing where I went live every day and we had healing sessions there. I can't remember. I think it was like releasing clarity. I just do whatever my soul feels like, comes to me, I just do. And I'm able to curate experiences in which I'm limited here on YouTube. So we have that on the My People community. And so it's free to join, and there's many free things. We also have other practitioners who will do sessions too, because I want you all to have exposure, and that doesn't cost anything. And if you want to get a little bit deeper, I have a Mystic and Body community that does cost, but it's more about people who really need to have a space to work on some more esoteric things, but they're not necessarily looking to be a student. But again, many free spaces. So I value myself, and I'll continue to do so, and I want you to do the same. So thank you for stopping by. I cannot wait until next week. I hope you enjoy everything. Thank you to those who are supporting me and those who have come over from Reiki Healing Hope. Thank you. Shout out to all my apprentices, and I'm so happy and so proud of you. Keep on doing it. Keep on doing the work. I hope that I am demonstrating by example how to go, and I tell y'all this all the time. I do not work this hard so that you all don't have the opportunity to be bigger and better than I ever could be, so I'm hoping to bridge the gap so that you all can go and just do so much more than what I ever could do. Okay, so sending love and kisses to everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye.